started.
Mike Bucks. Oh, look at that rating. Okay, starts off with C3. He's going to play a reversed Slav, maybe. Yeah, reverse Slav. He could be going for a some kind of London system, but this is the Torre attack. Okay, let's unpin and kick the bishop. And well, I guess I will still try to play with bishop to B7 and pawn to C5. And avoid knight to D7, which is what I used to always play. I used to always play knight D7. But if you wait and push this pawn first and then play the knight out, you can play knight to C6 instead of knight to D7, and it's a little more active. And I really haven't been looking at my opponent's moves, which is bad for me. I should. It's not like this is a known position. I mean, probably is, but I wasn't following a known sequence of moves from an opening. I was just playing those moves to get to this setup. And well, but I don't see any threats that white has made. So white is just going for a setup too, I guess. You see that a lot in Blitz. If you can play some setup that that you can play, if you get a setup that you can play regardless of what your opponent does, then you can play those moves quickly, and that's an advantage in Blitz, I guess. So pretty much completed the setup, and probably white has too. I just need to castle. White's already castled and is looking for the next. Yeah, I've invested one more pawn move, and I have a little more space, but I'm behind in development by having not castled yet. So what are the plans? The usual plan here is something like pushing the e-pawn forward. Plans from white: pushing the e-pawn forward, and try and open up lines and break down the king side. Maybe he's waiting for me to castle before he does that. Could he play e4 right now? Knight takes, bishop takes. He's going to prepare it by putting the rook there. That also encourages me to castle, get my king away from the line of the rook. But yeah, he plays this. I mean, what else is there? But it does open up this line for my bishop too. Question is, what do I want to do here? If I move this knight out of the way to try to win his knight, he can take here with check. I take. Takes with the bishop, I guess. I take with the queen. That's one way to play it. Or I can take the knight. That'll bring his bishop forward. He will probably trade off this dark squared bishop first and then take with the bishop. You know, if he takes with the knight, you know, I don't even have to take it. I could just leave it there and take this pawn. What happens if pawn takes pawn? Knight takes, I'll take. He's got a discovered check here at the end, but that queen, my queen is supporting the rook. I mean, the knight. But you know what it is. It's, well, and he gives up even if he wins a piece. Okay, I'm going to try this. What I was trying to say somewhat incoherently is that my queen will get pulled away from the protection of the d file by the exchange of the bishop, if that happens. Could get pulled away. So I might end up with a loose piece here on d4, but he would have to give up the bishop to win that loose piece, so it wouldn't amount to anything. Okay, so he just took with the pawn, going for an isolated queen's pawn position, so don't have to worry about any of that. Yeah, maybe there never was a line where I would end up with a loose knight there, because he had the knight guarding it. So what's going on here? I take, he takes. Yes, I want the bishop defending that. We get to a position where a lot of the force has been removed and he has the isolated queen's pawn. So this really ought to be a little better for black. But, well, Mike Bucks has beaten me many times before, so I wouldn't be surprised if he finds some way to pull this out. I mean, it's not like it's a winning advantage too. It's just a little something for me to play against. I was thinking knight f5. Just put more pressure on the pawn. But he can probably push the pawn forward immediately. But my knight's not loose there. If he pushes the d pawn forward and I take it, my knight becomes loose, but it's not under attack. Maybe that's what I should say. So I'm thinking, lift my queen up or get it out of the way, somehow bring a rook to the d file. Okay, so he brings his queen over here. And is my knight doing anything? I mean, maybe there's better squares for my knight than where it is. It can go into d6, I guess, and hop around this way. His knight can hop into e5. So if I play queen d7, which is what I was thinking of, knight d5, and I just have to move it again. So maybe queen d6 is the better move here. And put a rook on the d file, put a rook on the c file. That seems like a good deployment of forces. And then bring my knight, maybe knight to e7 to d5 is the way to play this. I just have to be careful I don't end up getting destroyed on the king side. His pieces are looking at the king side here. He gave his king a little lift. If I play knight to e7, can he push that pawn? I think I can just take it if he pushes the pawn here. So my idea is to blockade that pawn for a while. Restrain, blockade, and destroy. Trade off enough minor pieces that we get into an endgame, and then go after it in the endgame. That's the plan. And he's got a look at the f7 square. So can he sacrifice on f7? That's the next question. Knight takes, king takes, rook takes. He gets 2 pawns and he hits my queen. And my knight is sitting here looking a little silly without those 2 pawns. But where does the queen go? So that's knight d5, knight takes f7, king takes f7, rook takes d6. I can take the rook. My queen and my king are both on it. Okay. So I think he cannot sacrifice the knight here. We'll see. I have been wrong before. And now my knight can go back and forth between f6 and d5. f6 is a better square for this knight, it seems, anyway, looking at the rook. But no hurry there. So what's the best way to defend the f-pawn? If I go queen to queen e7, he has knight to c6. Let's check the time. Still I can time. So I can't do that. I guess I have to defend this way. Okay, he's taking away squares from my knight. If I kick his knight, he can hop into g6. I can play knight to f6, hitting his rook. Where's the rook go? The rook can go over here. Let's activate my rook. My rook can go all the way to c2. Okay, other ideas for the knight. In addition to knight takes f7, there's also knight to g6. Hitting my rook, but I can just take it, and my rook is not loose here. Okay, he drops his rook back to protect c7. Interesting. So I could double on the c-file. This may be a way of forcing some kind of trades. But I do have to be careful not to not to lift off with the rook before I adequately protected f7. Okay, he pushes the g-pawn forward. Maybe knight f6 now. Knight f6 would prepare rook to c7 or rook to c8, forcing a trade. Yeah, and maybe he's going to keep pushing his kingside pawns forward. Yeah, there he goes. So if I play queen to d5, what does he do? He can come forward with the queen. He doesn't have to retreat it. Wish there was a way to get pressure on that g-pawn. Let's try this anyway. Yeah, he just goes there. So what now? Tough position. Yeah, I want to, I guess I bring this rook back. If he pushes the pawn forward, I can play knight to h5, hitting the queen. Maybe chase it off this diagonal. Let's see. Can he can harass my knight though. I guess I need to keep the g-pawn intact. Now knight here hits the queen. You know, I have checkmating ideas here too. I can play g6, king g7, rook h8, and the queen and the rook coordinate on h1. So it's not all one-sided. And the knight from h5 controls f6. Still, I always have this uneasy feeling. You know, my rook was loose. There might have been some trick there. Okay, let's. It's not loose anymore. Let's defend the knight. If we back up to this situation, let's say it's when I brought my rook over, then my rook was loose. He might have had some discovered attack with his knight. Okay, here we are, back to the game. Yeah, I didn't notice that till now, but his queen sitting on that square, that square that I chased it to. Okay, so he's going to pile up there. Okay. I'm not quite sure I saw the point of that one. Maybe he's just saying there's nowhere for my knight to go, but my knight can go anywhere. Because when the knight moves, it's a threat of mate on the back rank there, and it's hitting the queen. So I can give the knight away on any number of squares, like knight here. I thought he was going to bring his rook to h3. Thought that was the plan. He moves his queen back. Okay, that defends. I can still play knight here. He can take with the queen and then I mate. But does that do anything else? Is it attacking something else? If I go here, he can take it with check, so that's no good. I know, I have a check on the back rank.
Check.
Let's see if that's useful. And then when the king comes forward, the knight moves with check. That's useful. And if he blocks with the piece. Well, I defeated the mighty Mike Bucks. Good game. Okay, I'll upload this and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.